What's the number one skill that every voice actor needs to master? It's probably not what you think it is. Voice actors who learn how to confidently pitch, follow up, and build relationships are often the ones who get the most consistent work. And so today we're diving into one of the most overlooked skills for voice actors: how to correspond with clients like a pro. I'm also going to share the number one mistake so many voice actors make when emailing clients, and I'm going to explain to you how to avoid it. We're going to get right into this and start with why good correspondence matters. Well, think about this equation. Mastering correspondence equals building client trust equals landing more gigs. You might be in a speaking profession, but writing well matters just as much, if not more. You could have the best voice in the business, but if your client messages, correspondence, emails are unclear, if they're sloppy or, God forbid, pushy, you might never build a reliable and recurring client base. Because remember, as a freelancer, your written words are actually a lot of times your first impression. And often they end up being your only impression before someone decides whether or not they're going to listen to your audition or demo, if they're going to book you for a job, or if they're going to even bother to keep your name on their potential talent roster. As voice actors, you know how it goes. We are our own sales, marketing, and customer service teams. You are the brand. You are the business, start to finish. So learning how to communicate professionally but still authentically really is a must-have skill if you want to build a thriving career. Think of professional correspondence as part of your craft. It's not just about hitting the right tone. It's about showing potential clients that you're trustworthy, you're reliable, you're easy to communicate with. If you're easy to communicate with through email or a messaging system, you're probably pretty easy to communicate with and direct in terms of the voice product that you're going to give them. So in just a minute, I'm going to give you some really easy but effective tips that can help you write emails that actually do stand out in a positive way and help you feel a lot more confident in doing it. But first, before we get there, I want to break this down into 6 key types of correspondence that you're likely going to send as a voice actor in your day-to-day business. So as you can imagine, each of these types of emails really does require striking a different tone, and also each one has a different goal. Now, that doesn't mean you need to reinvent the wheel every time. I actually created a packet of email templates that cover these exact scenarios that you can use and frankly just customize for yourself. And I'm going to tell you more about that in just a few moments on how you can get your hands on that. The first type of client correspondence you'll probably use in your day-to-day business is the cold email. And frankly, this is where a lot of us freeze. We stop before we've even started. This is where you want to introduce yourself to a potential client, but you really don't want to sound spammy or desperate. So my tip here, lead with clarity and don't try to be too clever. Let them know what you do, what kinds of projects you specialize in, and show them how you might be a helpful resource to them without assuming that they're going to hire you immediately. Cold emailing is really a long game kind of approach. It's not something you're going to want to expect to get immediate hirings and bookings out of. So you don't want to just drop your demo in an email and say, hey, let me know if you need anything. Be a human. Be very specific, but also be brief. The second type of correspondence you'll probably use every day is the audition follow-up. There are some platforms or some ways that you do auditions that this won't really be possible. Voices.com is one of them where you can't really contact a client after you have submitted an audition. If you submitted an audition and you never heard back, it's totally acceptable to follow up after a reasonable time frame has gone by, usually like 5 to 10 business days. So my tip here is you're not going to go in and just say, hey, did I get the job? Instead, you're just reaffirming your interest in the opportunity, thanking them for the chance to audition, and letting them know that you're available for this work or even future work. And this can help turn those client touches into long-term relationships even if you don't book that job specifically. Third type of correspondence is the project proposal, or kind of what you send when you submit an audition. This is where you're responding to a job posting or submitting a quote to a potential client, and this is a really big one. Whether a client contacts you directly or you're just replying on an audition site, this message should confirm your interest in the job, reiterate your understanding of what they need, and, if appropriate, including your rate or your quote. This is your opportunity to present yourself professionally. And I don't mean professionally just as a voice actor, but as someone who they would enjoy working with, someone who they feel they would get good value out of. And so you might include things in this correspondence like, a short message expressing the interest in the job, where you want to clarify any vague details about the job that you're auditioning for, providing your rate, or even asking about their budget range, confirming the delivery time frame. All of these things say it makes it easier for them to say yes to you by reading this email, because confidence and clarity equals credibility, and that helps you to stand out. The fourth type of the 6 types of correspondence that you'll have with clients on a regular basis is, congratulations, the booking confirmation. So now the client has hired you and they want to move forward with you. And once a client has agreed to move forward with you, you're going to want to send them a quick confirmation email that covers the complete job scope in writing. This is not just showing your attention to detail, it also protects you and protects the client from any potential misunderstandings. And it again just shows that you are organized and you have attention to detail, and it gives them more value in what they're getting out of you. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be clear. So restate what was agreed to. And those are things like the tone or the style of the read that the client wants, what the final word count is for the script, what kind of format they want the audio delivered in. Do they want an MP3? Do they want a WAV? Do they want something else? What the deadline is for them to receive your audio, the agreed upon rate and or payment terms, and basically any other specifics you need to have clarified before you start recording. Do they need split files? Is there anything in the script that you've looked over that you need clarification on pronunciation? That type of thing. Clients love it when you make things really easy and really clear and show that you are a pro. And it really does prevent misunderstandings later on, and it's just going to make your job so much easier. Correspondence number 5 is the project wrap-up. This is where you're sending the final audio and confirming the next steps for any kind of revisions or payment or testimonial requests. Remember, you are also your own marketing team. Clients aren't going to naturally think to send you positive feedback. And so it's your job to kind of nudge them in that direction, and sometimes even flat out ask them if they would provide a sentence or two that you could use as a public testimonial. This correspondence type doesn't get talked about enough, but it's a really classy way to end a project. And it invites more work in the future because, again, you are leaving the client with a really good impression. So after you are completely done a job, thank the client, remind them and recap what you delivered for them, and don't forget to tell them that you'd be happy to help them out again. My tip here is you can also include a line to invite that feedback, or let them know they can reach out anytime if they have a rush job or if this project needs updates down the line. It's a kind of note that's really easy to overlook, but it is one of the fastest ways to turn a one-time client into a repeat client. Finally, number 6, the client check-in or keeping in touch email. This is where you're reaching out to past clients if you haven't heard from them in a while. And this goes back to nurturing client relationships over time. Maybe you've worked with a client once or twice. Maybe they haven't needed a voiceover in a while. Well, that doesn't mean that they have forgotten about you or that they would never hire you again, but you need to kind of help them keep you at the top of their mind. So my tip here is go ahead, send a friendly check-in every 3 or 6 months. Let them know you're still available. If it's appropriate and you have a project that you recently worked on that's maybe in a related industry to theirs or is a similar type of project that you worked on with them, tell them that and relay to them that it made you think of them and that's why you wanted to reach out. Or even mention something that you've read online that was relevant to their industry and it made you think of them. All of this builds rapport, it builds trust, and it really does help to keep that door open without sounding pushy or salesy. If you really want to build a sustainable voiceover career, especially outside of the realm of the pay-to-play sites, you really need to sharpen your correspondence skills. And the good news is, this is a skill that you can learn. People can't learn necessarily how to have the right voice. Your vocal cords are what you've been given when you were born. This is a skill that you can absolutely learn. And so if writing these kinds of emails, the 6 that we described, doesn't really come naturally to you, that's totally okay. You don't have to be a copywriter. What you need is a good framework and a system that you can kind of put on repeat for and just simply tweak and customize for each client. And you need a little bit of guidance. If this part of running your business feels like a stumbling block for you, I have created a brand new downloadable PDF packet that is filled with professional voiceover correspondence templates. These are messages that I have written out for you in template form that you can just tweak and tailor and personalize for your own workflow, for your own clients, from cold emails to client wrap-ups after a project is done. You're going to find customizable templates that you can use as much as you want, plus some pro tips and writing suggestions that take the guesswork out of what to say and how to say it. It is available now for a very beginner-friendly price. I'm going to drop a link on how you can get your hands on it down below in the description. I certainly hope that you check it out. How do you actually write these messages in a way that sounds confident and genuine? Well, there are 5 key principles that I swear by. First up is be clear, not clever. This is where you want to skip the fluff, get to the point. Clients are busy people, so use short paragraphs. Bullet points are a good way to do that. And always make it obvious what you want the client to do next. Give them a specific call to action. No matter what type of correspondence it is, be clear in what it is that you need from them next. Secondly, be sure you sound like a human. Sound like yourself. Ditch the overly formal language. This is not the "to whom it may concern" or "dear sir" or "madam." Instead, greet the person by name if you have it, and frankly, you should have it. Instead of saying, "I would be honored to work with your esteemed company," try something a little more casual and relatable like, "Hey, I'd love to collaborate on your next project." But be careful to not skew this too far in that direction. You also don't want to be too casual. This is not the place for texting lingo and frankly, not really dense industry jargon either. Just keep it professional, keep it friendly, keep it genuine, sounding like you, and just keep it approachable. Third, I want you to lead with value. Whether it's a cold outreach email or a follow-up email, no matter what, focus on what's in it for them. What kind of voice work do you specialize in, and how can it help them connect with their audience? How can it help them elevate their brand? You're not in their email inbox begging for work. You instead, as a freelance business owner, you're offering a valuable service. So speak with confidence and clarity and tell them how you can help them. Next up, don't be afraid to follow up. A lot of people think that following up is annoying. I've been there. You feel vulnerable doing it and you don't want to be a pest. But the truth is people are really these days just busy or distracted, and your email might have gotten buried in a sea of 24 other emails. So a short, respectful follow-up like a week later, it's not pushy. It's just being professional. Finally, and I know some of you are going to roll your eyes at this, but it is so important, proofread. Every single time, proofread. Typos happen, and that's fine. When it is your first impression with a client, even the smallest mistake can be a huge red flag, and it could get your email put in the trash before they've even finished reading it, much less listen to your demo or audition. So read your correspondence out loud before you send it. If it's a really important correspondence, better yet, save it as a draft, come back to it an hour later with fresh eyes, and read it again. Now, I promised I was going to tell you the number one voiceover correspondence mistake that I see voice actors make is talking all about yourself instead of focusing on what the client needs. I've done this, I've done that, I'm good at this, I specialize in that. Those are all messages that you do want to deliver to the client, but you have to learn the proper way to frame it so that it doesn't sound like you're talking about me, me, me. Clients don't hire you because you love storytelling. They hire you because you solve a problem for them by telling a story about their brand or product. So reframe that whole, I'm a very passionate storyteller, to something that sounds more like, I help brands sound more human and connect with their audience through clean professional voiceover. You're telling the client an awful lot about what you can do, but you're framing it in a way that shows them how much you can help them. You know, for a lot of us, cold emailing really is the hardest part. It can feel so awkward. You're putting yourself out there. You're very vulnerable. You're going to face a lot of rejection. It honestly takes a lot of practice to get good at it or even get comfortable with it, if you ever do. There are many of us who don't ever actually get comfortable with cold emailing. You just kind of learn how to deal with it. Cold emailing is also not magic. You're not always going to get replies. In fact, more of your cold emails will go unanswered than will get responses. But when done well, it works. And it is one of the most solid ways to build long-term and recurring clients. And so if you're thinking, okay, all this makes sense, but what's the whole point of mastering client communication when, AI is here and AI voices are just getting better and cheaper by the day? Why should I bother putting all of this effort into creating this system for my voiceover business? Isn't my career just basically going to be obsolete soon? Well, that's exactly why this skill matters now more than ever. Because building real relationships with your clients, earning their trust, communicating like a pro, being helpful, being versatile, being collaborative, those are the things that are going to separate from an emotionless, auto-generated voice file. If you haven't watched it yet, I'd like you to check out my video, Will AI Replace Voice Actors? In it, I break down what's really going on in the industry when it comes to artificial intelligence and how to protect the future of your career with the things that no AI can replicate.